Hey guys, so for in this video I just want to go and work on setting up a grid system for our that we can try to use as a template. So I have here a grid set of possible setup that we can try to use with Figma. So let's try to work on this different sizes of grids. So we know that the grid system of Bootstrap is composed of 12 column system, right? And what we can do here, we can try to actually check out how to do some setting up for our grids that can be also based from a 12 system column. And we do have here, in the case of Bootstrap, they used 1400 pixels. So now let's try to go and work here with Bootstrap grid of 12 column. However, we will be setting up this 1140 with a 150 margin in Figma. And if we try to calculate this will be coming from, if we have a, let's say in our grid system here, we have a 1440 sized. And if we try to create a new frame here, you would see on our artboard here, we do have that 1440 by 1024. Let's create that one first. Then let's have this grid template Bootstrap. And in here, we would want to use this template here of 12. And what we want to do here, if we go down to our layout grids here and click on plus sign there, we want to go and check the columns, and we want to set up that 12 columns, and there's this margin. In this case, if we are going to be using that width of 1140, we will need to do some computation of minus 1440 that, sorry, 1440 minus 1140. We get 300 and we divide that by 2, so we can set up the margin now by 150, right? And we can fix this to 15. So we now have that grid system that we can try to utilize for our first template. Okay, this is going to be good, especially for example, you want to go and set up, let's say, images, right? You have 4 columns. Let's say, for example, in this case, we have 1, 2, 3 images. You can play around with how many. So let's say we have this 2 sized. So we know that we can, this is 12, so that will be around 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So let's say image 1. Can we change the color of this? Is there a gray color? Right, we have an image 1. Then we can just copy that, and then we can have an Control C, Control V. That didn't work. We have an image 2. We can now easily identify, and we can easily increase that with the same size, right? Through the help of the grid system that we have just created. So most probably that's how this is created. And this one we can try to also check out. This one is almost, we reduce 2 columns, right? We can try to recreate that sized in our site through the grid system. So there are also other ways on how we can try to go create a much wider type of, actually you can try to search out what would be some inspiring grid-based website designs. And we can try to just go and try to create another frame here. Let's have another 1 by 40. Let's set this up with that wide grid system of having Same 12 columns, but we'll be increasing the gutter to 24. Let's just call this grid template wide 1. So we'll have this as a grid template for a wider image. And because we are using the same format there, 24, so we can just set that up to 100. Okay. Then we can also have another one. Let's have another desktop grid template. Let's just call this grid template wide 2. So in this case, what we want to do here is to utilize this syntax of column 12, 40 pixels and margin 80. Let's see how that will look. So depending on what you're building, e-commerce sites will normally have possibly having a lot of wide spaces. So depending on what you would want to build and what your client is asking you to build, you might want to set up your grid in a certain manner, right? So let's have, still we'll be using 12 columns here. We can have the margin set to 80, and here in this time we'll have 40. So this will have much more wider sizes, or we can actually try to, if we go here, we can try to check out on whether we can try to increase the 20% just to see it better for the meantime. But you can reduce that, of course. You can try to toggle your grid system here. You can hide that. We only use that for, we actually use that for just as a guide when we're setting up the layout for our mock-ups or wireframes. So that's it for now. I just wanted to show you here how you can try to set up a grid template for yourself. So I'm just going to call this grid template versions. At least now I can try to go back here and I can use some versions of grids, and I can try to set this up for future projects that I'll be building, that we might be able to go and try to look up and try to check how we would want to lay out our pages for the website that we're building.